Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Devin Jackson, and the topic I'm going to speak on today is people wanting to compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James. I personally feel like you can't compare them, so I'm more towards the it's impossible to compare the two versus people comparing which one of them is the greatest of all time. I feel like both of them are the greatest basketball players of all time, but due to the fact that they play in two different time periods, they've never played against each other, and they play two different totally positions. So they have two different roles for their team. Michael Jordan, of course, played back in the 80s and the 90s era, which people say that it was more physical back then. The referees didn't call as many fouls. They let a lot more stuff slide than what they let get by nowadays. LeBron James plays in the time period of now. He currently is still playing basketball to this day. And the rules are a lot different than what they were back then. There's a lot of stuff that's allowed that wasn't allowed back then. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't allowed now, but that they allowed then. So it was just two different eras. So you can't really compare the two in that way because, people say that the league was a lot harder to play in back then, but people still say that Michael Jordan probably wouldn't do what he did if he was playing against the people that are playing in the NBA nowadays. I feel personally that there are more advanced basketball players nowadays than it was back then, but I also feel there are more physical players back then than what it is now. So you can't really combine those two because they played during two different eras. And the eras were totally different and all the rules were, not the same. Michael Jordan, he was the greatest of his time at what he did. He played shooting guard for his team. So his goal for his team was to shoot the ball and make his baskets. He had to shoot the ball and make it. That was his goal for his team, was to score. Yes, of course, everybody knows Michael Jordan scored the ball. He shot his shots, and he made majority of his shots, and he was really, really good at it. Everybody can, agree on that. That's what he's known for. He could shoot the ball, he could score. And he was greatest at doing that. He was greatest of his time at doing that. Everybody knew when Michael Jordan was on the court that the ball was going to be in his hands and that he was going to score the ball. And you were going to have a hard time stopping him from doing that. His primary goal for his team and his role for his team was to score. Versus LeBron James, on the other hand, he had a totally different role for his team. He played small forward. And the role for small forward isn't to score as Michael Jordan's role was. So, yeah, you're supposed to score the ball as a small forward, but you're not supposed to, that's not your primary goal as a small forward. So that's another reason they played two different positions. So you can't really compare who's the greatest if they had two different positions. It'd be a better understanding for me if they played the same position. Then I would, probably be more lenient on comparing the two. But you can't compare two players who didn't play the same position and did not have the same role. Yeah, they both played basketball, and the goal of basketball is to score buckets and not let the other team score. But you score more buckets than the other team. But LeBron James, his role isn't scoring. It is to score, but that is not his primary role. He has other roles he has to do with being the small forward. Small forward is kind of the person that's in the middle. They're more well-rounded. They have to do a lot more other stuff than just score, such as Michael Jordan's role for his team was to just score. LeBron James, as a small forward, he had to, he has to score, but he has to do a whole lot other stuff before scoring. So I feel like, yeah, you can compare, but you can't compare at the same time, But Michael Jordan, he greatest scorer of all time. That was his job. That was what he stepped on the court to do. He knew when he got on the court, the ball had to be in his hands. He had to score. Versus LeBron James, yeah, he does score, and he actually has passed Michael Jordan's career points. So he scored more points than Michael Jordan already, and he's still in the league to this day with probably 2 or 3 more years to play. And he's already passed Michael Jordan, who they consider the greatest of all time at scoring. And that's not even his primary role, and he's already scored more points than Michael Jordan. Personally, LeBron James is my favorite player, so it may sound like I'm leading more towards LeBron James. I am, but I ain't. I'm not taking anything away from Michael Jordan because he is the greatest. I mean, you can't talk about the greatest of all time and not have Michael Jordan in the topic. I notice a lot of people like to bring up championships wise when they compare them. I don't feel like that's a reason to compare. Michael Jordan has 6 championships. LeBron only has 3 championships. But that doesn't just automatically make Michael Jordan the greatest player of all time. Because when you speak championships are a team effort. And when you talking championships, the whole team wins the championship. It's not just, oh, Michael Jordan won 6 championships. No, you have to say the Chicago Bulls won 6 championships. That's the team. And it's not just that one person getting credit for the championship. So you can't really compare those two when the championship is a team effort. You can't. Michael Jordan wouldn't have 6 championships if it wasn't for his team. So that doesn't make Michael Jordan better than LeBron just because he has more championships. And also, LeBron's played in the league 15 years and is still playing as of today with probably 3 to 4 more years to play. Michael Jordan played in the league a total of 18 years and he accomplished a lot. But what I see, my LeBron James has played in the league 15 years, 3 years less than what Michael Jordan played, and he's already breaking Michael Jordan's records with more time to actually, play. Like he's broke a couple of Michael Jordan's records and still has 3, 4 years to keep adding on to those broken records. So, but I'm not saying that makes LeBron James more, I'm not saying that makes LeBron James the greatest of all time. Kinda am, but I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, he's passed Michael Jordan on a couple statistics on stuff that Michael Jordan did in 18 years, and LeBron James broke the record, and he's only been in the league for 15 years. I mean, that doesn't still compare, and they both have different roles, like I said. They both are considered the greatest of all time. I feel you can't compare the two, but you can compare them. If you want to compare numbers, you can compare numbers, but that's still not going to make one of them better than the other. And they've never even played against each other. They like I said, Michael Jordan played during the 80s and the 90s, and LeBron James is playing during today's time period. So that kind of makes it hard due to the rules aren't even the same. There's different type. Basketball isn't even played the way it was played back then. Like, it's more advanced to me. It's more advanced and more of of techniques, and versus back then it was more of physical. Like you had to be physical, you had to be tough. Not saying that's not required in today's basketball, because it is, but I feel like you can't compare the two. But they both are greats, and I would say both of them the greatest of all time. That's just my opinion. And so I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in.